This online training course is designed for new teacher hires in a school district that is required to offer training on various classroom health emergencies. This course will provide training regarding the correct procedures to follow when students experience a seizure, receive a traumatic injury, or have an allergic reaction in the classroom. A module is devoted to each emergency. So the content for each type of emergency is organized the same way for each module. We begin with a module introduction page. This page has a brief description of the module topic and a video introduction that states the learning objectives and the activities and assessments the learners should expect as they move through the module. If the learners need to remind themselves what is moving the course and don't want to watch this introduction video again, the learning objectives are clearly written out on the intro page as well. There are 3 learning objectives for each module, and the first always focuses on identifying, describing, or differentiating. The second learning objective calls for a more complex cognitive task, and the third will always be analyzing an emergency situation and then applying the content they've just learned. Finally, there is a resources tab on our intro page to provide links to where this information is coming from and to the corresponding state requirements. In some modules, there is additional information here that learners may need before moving on to the learning portion of the course. Each introduction page follows the same layout for each module to lessen the extraneous cognitive load placed on learners as they navigate through the course. This way they know what to expect and can spend less time learning navigation or the learning management system and instead focus on learning the content. If we look at the layout for each module, you can see that each starts with a video lesson. This video lesson will help the student reach their first learning objective. In this case, it's learning to recognize what a traumatic injury looks like, and it also introduces some information that will help them reach their second objective. After watching the first learning video, there are several checks for understanding. The feedback in these short checks will provide the learner with information that should lead them to fulfilling the learning objectives if they're incorrect. Feedback for correct answers will recall information and build on prior learning to reinforce those concepts. The next lesson focuses on the second and the third objectives. This is done using interactive elements and graphics. This first one here just walks the learners through what different blood control stations look like so that they can have context for what they're about to learn and to reinforce a part of the training that was stated earlier in this course a few times, which is that they need to know where the nearest one is in their school for any of this information to actually be helpful. This is followed by an interactive graphic where they can explore the uses of each piece of medical equipment inside a standard blood control kit, and it also provides information on how to use each one. Once this content is consumed, another check for understanding will subconsciously prompt the learner to turn back to the information if they attempted to quickly skim through it in order to just move on. The continue buttons at the bottom of the page are set to not let a learner move on to the next piece of content until correctly completing the check for understanding and any content before them. This lesson ends with a short scenario in each module that simulates a scenario they may encounter in their own workplace. Here, the situation is analyzed and the content is applied, fulfilling the third objective. Instant feedback is given for every step in these scenarios, and this learning experience serves as another formative assessment for the learner. At the end of each module, there is a multiple answer summative assessment. Each of the questions is written with the learners in mind and only uses situations that they could encounter in their own classroom. Once a 95% or higher score is achieved, the learner can move on. Each module ends with a period of reflection where the learners can consider the emotional toll these situations may take and make the learning personal through discussion with other learners who have completed the course. This is done using a third-party discussion board that does allow for commenting and the liking of posts so learners can connect with their peers. Finally, all references and copyright attributions for images, graphics, and other information used to inform the content can be found at the bottom of the table of contents. By the end of the course, the learners should be equipped with the information necessary to aid any student in their classroom experiencing one of the 3 emergencies addressed in the course.